Old Geezer Deek is the title of a story by Ezekiel Kralin in the ongoing and interminable story of the two little dogs and his homeless friend. Ezekiel wrote, email correspondence, June 7th, 2023. There was a sudden knock on my door. Date, June 7th, early afternoon. Watson wrote, nice report. I replied, praising me to the heavens. It'll do for a start. Referring here to Bard, not Cortez, though I'm sure he'll catch up shortly. Watson wrote, at least Bard doesn't say you're an avid hunter, outdoorsman, and grand dragon of the KKK. I replied, I imagine some enemies could post a flurry of text pages across cyberspace to say just that, or worse. Bard would pick them up and add it to its Zeke knowledge base. Question of the year. Is it sophisticated enough to recognize such sabotage and squelch it, along with fake AI-generated images, videos, and voices that show me in a less than honorable light, such as slashing DJ Trump's throat and blowing up Mar-a-Lago? No worries, though. My Mighty Mouse virus is already programmed to eradicate any and all attempts to crush me. Here it comes to save the day. Mighty Mouse is on its way. Never thought that when I was just knee-high to a dachshund that any cartoon character would return years later as a pro-gay rebel and savior in my honor. My life is so much better now. Signed, Zeke K. Holmes. P.S. As for spreading fake videos across cyberspace where I'm seen destroying the Trump dynasty like a modern-day Che Guevara, that's all in MMV's hands to pull that off and terrorize all homophobes as a result, because Trump won't be the only one so targeted. That'll just be the opening salvo. Subject, Deek's visit this morning, short but sweet. Date, June 7th, mid-afternoon. 9:30 a.m. I heard his rap music playing across the street, but not so loud as to be nerve-wracking for anyone. I watched from my window as he moved forward to see if he'd cross the block in my direction or continue further east. As soon as he turned left instead of straight ahead, I prepared for their arrival, donned my sneakers, jacket, and cap, and leaned out the window to wave at him once they approached. To my surprise, he didn't park out front, but 2 doors down and partly in front of the smoke shop, presumably out of respect to not trigger the creeps in my building who were out to get me. I considered telling him that's not necessary, but decided against that only because it was a thoughtful gesture, besides which he told me the shop doesn't open till 11 and he'll be out of there by then. This time he had a large baby stroller cart that provided ample room for 1 pup in back and 1 in front, with the monster speaker lodged within and tilted in such a way as to be no danger, even with bumps and turns along the way, towed by his bicycle, to which it was securely lashed. Flacco was already standing on the sidewalk, ready to greet me, while Lucky was still curled up in the cart when I stepped outside, but the moment he saw me, joined his sister in a grand display of jubilation that is their gift to yours truly every single friggin' time. After barely a minute, however, Lucky clambered back into their nest, because he just loves the comfort. Not that he doesn't care for me that much anymore, but he knows I care far more about his own happiness than my selfish pleasures, one of which is obviously receiving his playful affections. So while sitting on the sidewalk, I scooted closer to the cart so I could continue showering him with scritches while doing the same for Flacco, who stood right beside me. But she wouldn't stand for it and jumped into the cart too, plunking herself right atop her brother, making him invisible in her eyes and inaccessible to my caresses. As usual, Lucky didn't put up any resistance, but patiently abode his sister's mischief. Abode, the past tense of abide. Well, why not? Now, Flacco, you know you love your brother and shouldn't act like this, I gently reprimanded, while lifting her back out of the cart to set her on my lap. She looked up at me with loving eyes, half closed in bliss, as I scratched her little chin and lightly brushed my fingers across those silken Yoda ears. I was now close enough to them both to share my kisses and hugs equally. The sun's early rays cast an aureate glow about my beloved Brindlekin. Meanwhile, their master sat by the curb with his back to us, admiring his grotty mask in a vehicle's reflection. It made him look like someone else entirely, a jaundiced old geezer with deep wrinkles, blemishes, and a terribly bulbous schnozola, very realistic. It fit on his face like a glove. He also wore a scrappy wig of gray hair that fit tightly round his noggin. In fact, when he first drew near, I thought, what's going on? Did he instruct a friend to drop by for some reason? And where are the dogs? Though a few seconds later I realized it was my Cajun joker in disguise, with the mutts riding inside the cart. What a way to start the day, eh, Watson? At least I already had my morning repast of a blueberry muffin and Rosenberg's Java. After about 20 minutes of us all sitting out there, enjoying the fine spring weather and each other's company, Deek turned away from his reflection, at which he cackled and laughed for some time in his own world, I suppose, asked me to feed the pups and put a new mix of wrap on his chip. Easy said, easy done. As I returned hovel to perform those chores, a young Mexican fellow, short and on the chubby side, appeared in the lobby, for whom I held the gate ajar. "Do you know where Pete's Coffee is?" he queried. I didn't catch what he said first time around due to a strong accent, so I asked him to repeat it. He did, and I replied with outstretched arm and finger pointing downtown. "Yeah, it's on the next block and across the street. You can't miss it." "Thank you," he said, took a few steps, then turned back in my direction, beaming with pride and a beatific smile. "I'm taking care of Kevin." At first I was perplexed, not sure what he was talking about, but it sank in a moment later. He's watching over our badly ailing building manager, most likely on his deathbed. "Oh, I see," I replied, as he walked toward the intersection, glad he was still within earshot to hear my words. "That's great. Thank you so much." To be continued.